Holy Spirit knows what you need to hear. And so what we're going to pick up this morning is something, really the whole book of James is something all of us deal with. And so we went through verse 8 last week, and so we pick it up at 9. It says, the brother in humble circumstances ought to take pride in his high position. But the one who is rich should take pride in his low position, because he will pass away like a wildflower. For the sun rises with scorching heat and withers with the plant. Its blossom falls and its beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich man will fade away even while he goes about his business. And then verse 12, blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. Those are the verses we're going to focus on this morning. And I want to tell you, just like I talked about it a few minutes ago, really, every single one of us in here are in the category of rich. Whether you like it or not. You might say, oh, no, I'm not rich, Greg. You are. If we compare ourselves to the rest of the world, don't compare yourselves to people in Beverly Hills. Okay? Compared to them, we're not rich. But compared to the rest of the world, we are. And so what do these verses say? They're very hard to hear. They're saying that actually the people that are in a low position or are poor, the Bible uses that word poor, are actually blessed. And those of us that are rich, it can be a curse. It can be a curse used by the enemy. Now, nowhere in the Bible does it say that having money is evil. But it does say, what? That money in itself can be very evil. Okay? It's how you use it. It's how you use your gifts and talents and abilities and finances. And so when we read this, the brother in humble circumstances ought to take pride in his high position. You see, Jesus' message was one that was very not well received. Because he said things like, the first shall be last, and the last will be first. We don't like that. We want to be first. We do. We want to be first. We want a high position. You know, when the disciples were following Jesus, part of their motive, the Bible tells us, was they thought they were going to be in power. And they kept not being able to figure out, well, he's the king. Why is he not overthrowing the government? He needs to. I encourage you someday to take your own Bible and read what happened to Judas right before he betrayed Jesus. And you'll get a little bit of a motive of what they thought Jesus was going to become. There's a reason why Judas did what he did. And I want you to find out for yourself. I'm not going to give it to you, because I want you to read your own Bible. Okay? And so, Jesus was constantly saying things like this, that it's actually a blessing to not have, and we all have. So, what is this message designed for then? Look at what it says. It says that all the stuff we have is going to pass away. It's going to actually burn, the Bible says. Okay? And so, one of the things we're going to be held accountable for as people is, how did we handle our possessions? How did we handle our finances? Did we bless other people with those? Did we look to use those in a good way, or did we try to hoard them for ourselves? This blessing box is going to be a chance for us to do many things of being used in other people's lives. Do you know, in my office, I have a file that has every positive thing anyone's ever sent me, and I've kept them all. And a lot of them are my kids, like they wrote stuff when they were little, like, you're the greatest dad, and I keep it, right? And then sometimes I take pictures of it and send it to them. Remember when you said this? Don't forget. The beauty of smartphones now.
Yeah.
But I've kept everything that was an encouragement. Now, guess what I've done with the stuff that was negative? It's gone. I don't want to even hear it. It's from the enemy. Because I'm not kidding. I've gotten response cards back from churches that if you read them, you'd go, really? Someone sent you that? Yeah, I have. They're very negative. I don't keep those. I don't even want to remember them. But the positive ones I do. It's our chance to do that to each other. Now, one of the themes in James that I love is that James is telling us that we cannot do this thing that we want to do, which is create heaven on earth. And last week we looked at the purpose for trials in our life and how we want a smooth road. Okay? We want to try to create heaven on earth. That's what we're trying to do a lot of times. We're trying to set ourselves up for something that cannot happen on this earth. Have you noticed that if you go to Disneyland, things still aren't perfect? They're not. There's way too many people there. I'm there. I'm here to go on rides. What are they doing here? Okay? You know, I went and I took a youth group. We went to Disneyland, and it was the hottest day in the history of Disneyland. 113 degrees at Disneyland. Okay? And I'm not even kidding. They were letting people swim in the fountains because people were like passing out. They sold out of bottled water. And so, like, it was chaos. And so even in a great place like Disneyland, it's not perfect. Have you ever gone on vacation to Hawaii or somewhere that's just awesome? Everything doesn't go perfect. It doesn't. When we were just there for our anniversary, someone in a Jeep just like ours, got in a serious wreck and almost died while they were up there. You read the stories of people drowning on their honeymoon in Hawaii. It's never going to be perfect on this earth, and yet we're trying to create this. And so what James is saying here, he's reminding us that these difficulties we go through are actually beneficial for us, and one of the things that keeps us from really growing a lot of times is our own wealth. You see, if our confidence is in our wealth, we don't have any confidence, the Bible says. It can be gone in a second. It can be gone in a second. Some of us remember years ago when some of our 401ks were gone in a second. Okay? That's not what we're supposed to rely on. Did you know it's very good to be wise, but nowhere in the Bible do you find this word retirement. There's no such thing. Okay, we've created that because retirement is supposed to be when you get to do whatever you want. Well, really? No. Retired people are more busy than anyone I know. Okay, because they got to do this and they got to do that. And, well, even our time spent here is this same idea. One of the dangers of being rich, like all of us in here are, is we can go through a day, and if we don't really think about it, not ask God for any help, because we could do it all ourselves. When was the last time you prayed and asked God for food because you didn't have any? Maybe a few of you in here, but I'll be honest with you, never in my life have I ever had to pray that prayer, ever. And part of me is kind of embarrassed about that. Because I've been so blessed, and yet, you know what? I take that for granted. I can't tell you the last time I thanked God for hot water. He brought that to my mind this morning. But I know I love it. I know I love a house that has air conditioning and a heater. The years that I didn't have that, I remember how difficult that was. Or that you didn't make enough money to use it, even though you had it as a little kid. So what is James trying to say here? What he's trying to say is that the closer we get to God is what really matters. And so if possessions or money or any of that stuff keeps us from that, it would be better to not have it. It really would be better to not have it. We cannot create heaven on earth. I want to take us to, I want to point something else out here that I kind of just read through and didn't highlight. It says in verse 12, "Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive," do you see this? "The crown of life." I can't even tell you exactly what that is. The Bible doesn't really tell us. But I know it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I guess the only thing I can compare it to would be, imagine if you got something in the mail and it said, "We want to have a special day to honor you, and so come to the Oakland Coliseum next week, and at this time," and you walk in and there's like 100,000 people and they're all cheering for you, and they're like, "You're amazing, you're such a great person, you've done all these great things." And can you imagine what that'd be like? I mean, to us, that's the ultimate. Like, if that ever happened, like these athletes get that, and you kind of boil it down, what do they get that for? Because they're really fast. They're not a good person at all. They don't have to be a good person at all. They're just really blessed. They have a real gift. And yet, what if it was about our character? Well, the Bible says that this is going to happen at the end of times. And if we have the crowns that we lay at Jesus' feet, it's going to be like greater than anything on this earth. I can't even describe to you how awesome it's going to be, but I know it's going to be, but I can't even use the words to tell us what that's going to be like. But that's what James is referring to. This crown that is given if we stick with things, even when things get difficult. And we trust God rather than ourselves. We're going to be rewarded for every time we do that. Isn't that cool? That can't be the motive for doing it, or we don't get it. One time I took all my kids when they were little, we used to pay them allowance, and I said, you guys are little, but you can still use some of this money for God. I want you to decide how much of your allowance that you're going to use for God. And then I want you to give it at church next Sunday. So they all figured out an amount. Well, most of them only gave a little bit. But my oldest son, for whatever reason, decided to give his whole allowance. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. So as I was talking to the kids, I said, you know what, Tyler, I really want to bless you for doing that. And so because you did that, I'm going to double your allowance. And so the money you just gave, I'm not counting that. I'm going to actually double the other amount, and so you have this. And all the other kids were like, that's not fair. Okay? I just wanted to see how much you want to give. Well, the next month I did it again. And guess what? Every single one of them did. Okay? And guess what I did as dad? I said, that is so awesome. You guys want to give your whole allowance? That's cool. Good job. And then I walked out of the room. And they're like, okay, what about the other part? No, we're not doing the other part. That was last month. So that's what God is saying about us. If our motives are pure and we're really helping someone to help them, then there's a blessing. If we're doing it to get the crown, no. If we're doing it to get the double allowance, no. That's selfish. And we're all human, so we're going to do things like that at times. I'm not saying we won't. But look at what it says. It uses this word that we don't really use in our society anymore. That in verse 12 it says, blessed. Okay, that's not a word that we really use, blessed. But it reminds me of something in Scripture that we see over and over again. I want us to turn to there. It's in Matthew chapter 5, so turn left in your Bibles just a little bit. This word blessed comes in the Bible in the Beatitudes, And I want you to notice the things that God values here. If you ever wonder, what does God value above everything? These are the things that he values. Okay? Blessed, or actually that word means happy, or that satisfied, or one with God. Really? It's kind of a holy thing. Well, look what it says. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, we don't use the word poor in spirit anymore. I've never walked up to any of you ever and I've said, thank you for being poor in spirit. But what does it mean? It describes what it is. What is it? Is that talking about happy or the depressed?
Humble.
Humble?
Realize they need God.
Okay. Yeah, their spirit is poor, just like we just looked at financially poor. But that's a blessing. It's a blessing to get to a place where we say, without God, my life stinks. Like, no getting around it. I cannot make myself happy. Some of us, it's taken a long time now. Yeah, I got scars to show you from how long it took me. And I'm still not there. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. If you ever want to know, go back to Matthew. If you're struggling and you want to know, okay, what does God value? What does he want me to become? He just gave you a list. And did you notice none of them are financially wealthy? None of them have a really sweet car. None of them are any of that. No possessions in here. These are all heart things that have to do with just us and God. And God's the only one that knows if we're in this place. If you're in a place where you feel desperate, God values that. In fact, he's worked really, really hard to bring you to that place. One of the prayers for me, for my children, there's some of my children that I don't get to see or talk to, is God bring them to that place. Because I, as their dad, can't. They stopped listening to me a long time ago. Okay? But he can. So I say, bring the people into their life. Bring the situations into their life that bring them to the end of themselves and bring them right to here. How much does our society value meekness? What does it mean to be meek?
Humility.
Okay. One of the words used about Jesus over and over again was meek. And we interpret that as kind of like weak or kind of a pushover. And that's not it at all. There was no one ever on the face of this earth stronger than Jesus. Okay, he could have done anything he wanted. He was God while he was here. But he didn't. He acted in humility. He allowed himself to be stripped, it says, of the things, many of the things of being God while he was here so that he could be fully man. I don't even understand that. You know, I love you guys in here, but if I go to heaven and God says, Gregg, do you want to go back and help? No. I'm sorry, I love you, but no. That's perfect. Why would I go back to dental drills? Why would I go back to pain and suffering? No, forget it. They can figure it out, right? That's selfish, by the way. But I'm being honest because that's what Jesus did, and that's why this meekness and this humility and all these things in here that are listed, hungering and thirsting for righteousness. When you're starving and you're going to have a good meal, That's how he wants us to be about the Bible. Like, to be so looking forward to getting fed spiritually that it's like, we can't wait. Like, I can't wait till Thanksgiving again already. Because I love that meal. I mean, I love the family and all that stuff too, but I love the food too. Okay? The potluck today, that's going to be good. But he wants us to hunger and thirst for his word. That's what he values. That's what makes us blessed or happy or satisfied or any of those things. Turn to Philippians chapter 3. Go write a bunch of books. Look at what Paul says here. He says in verse 12 of chapter 3 of Philippians, "Not that I have already obtained all this that I've been talking about, or have already been made perfect, but I press on to take hold of that for which Jesus Christ took hold of me. Brothers, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining forward for what is ahead. I press on towards the goal to win the prize of which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." Okay. What he's saying is what all of us in here need to do. First of all, we got to forget what's behind us. We can't change it. Okay, some of us, what keeps us from doing things is we go, man, I keep making the same mistake over and over. Why did I do that? And by the way, we can't change any of that, so the enemy would love us to stay over there. He wants us to look towards the future. That's what can be changed. Patterns that we've always had. I want to tell you, when we read Matthew chapter 5 about the Beatitudes, none of us do that naturally. None of us read that list and go, yep, that's me, yep, oh yeah, yep. No. We looked at it and went, oh my God, that's not how I've lived. But what Paul's saying is press on towards the goal of how we can start living if we let God have it. Which it starts with the things that are our priorities. If you want to know what your priorities are, make a list of how you spend your time and how you spend your money. That'll tell you what your priorities are. It really will. Now, I'm not talking about how you spend your time if you have to work 10 hours a day. Not that time, that you're working. If you're a student and going to school, not that time. God's looking at our free time. How do we spend our free time? How do we spend the money that's not already allocated to other things that we have to pay? That's what defines us. And that also can change. And that's what Paul's saying here. That's what James is saying. Is it's actually a blessing to be in a poor position, because then you constantly have to rely on God. When we have wealth, when we have possessions, we can rely on those all the time. Have you noticed in your own life that many times when you look back, the times that you're closest to God is when things are out of your control? Like, health-wise, you get a health scare and you don't know what's going on. You can't control it. So then you start praying differently. And it brings you closer to God. Many times in a relationship, if you go through difficulties together, that's what brings you together. Because you've gone through it together. That's what happens in our relationship with God. Turn back to James, and we're going to close there. I want to look at one last thing. Which, by the way, next week, we're going to pick up with verse 13 about temptation and how the enemy tempts us. And I will show next week the cutest video you're ever going to see in your life. So you need to be here. Because it's going to be exactly what the Bible's saying here about how temptation works. I hope you make it. But to close this week, first of all, please, please, please take that journal that's in the back and read the verses that it says to read every day. Get in God's Word. Because I got to be honest with you, nothing is going to change until that changes. Okay? If the next time you open your Bible is next Sunday, you're not going to see a lot of growth this week. Okay? You need to be in this and letting God speak to you, letting God take the words that you write down and take these verses and apply them to your life. Not someone else's life, your life. And so when you take this part that we've looked at, and where it says, verse 12, blessed is the man who perseveres under trial. Goes on to say, then we'll receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. Now, there's a lot of promises in this book. And I want to tell you something about God that I've learned over the years. He never lies. He's not like us as humans. Every single one of us in here have lied. And many of them have started here. I didn't think that cookie. Okay? And then it gets better and better as we get older, like they get more developed. Or we say, oh, that was a white lie. Whatever that is. Okay? So, all the promises that God has ever made, he's always going to fulfill. He says, if we live the life he wants us to live, we're going to be rewarded. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great on this earth and in heaven. Okay? But look what this says. What is the thing that keeps us from that a lot? It is the things that many times get in our way is this pride that we can take in ourselves or the things that we have. Or we have financial security. Okay? None of us in here have financial security, by the way. It could be gone in an instant. It might. If you talk to experts that really know about stuff, they tell you, man, our country is in a really, really, like, we're on the ledge and we don't even know it. Okay? And they say, they give you a lot of advice, but a lot of it is not even going to help because it's up to God. So what is this saying? It's saying we've got to get to a place where we see that God is the only answer. And then when we do, we're going to be happy. We're going to be blessed. We're going to be blessed. We're going to be made holy. And then we're going to receive all these awesome benefits to it. But that's not the reason to do it. The reason to do it is, one, what we've done so far hasn't worked, has it? Has it worked? No. We get some happiness. Like that, a good meal makes you happy. But it doesn't make you truly satisfied, like the Bible's talking about. Where you just go, I'm right with God. The times I look back in my life and say, man, I was the closest to God, were when things were happening so far out of my control in my life that I knew it was God. Because I always have this doubt, like, well, did I just do that? Did I just create that? You put me on a great golf